Good afternoon. See if anybody writes in. Anybody there want to say hi? So I'm Coach Trish, and I'm really excited to be joining you guys along this training journey to the mountain. Britton, hello. And first, I want to say, all my thoughts are out there for everyone that their lives have been turned upside down the last couple weeks. Hi, Chris. As mine has with everyone else, so I feel for you. At the end, I am going to give you some tools that fit along with this breathing and awareness, just some tools that can help you along this time. And I know the whole 29029 team and myself, this 29029 isn't just an event and just one experience in your life, but we want the training, physical, mental, all the things that you learn going up to the mountain and while you're on the mountain to be used in our daily lives. And right now that's true more so than ever. So think about the tools if you have been on the mountain before. Hi, Christine. Think about the tools that you learned if you have climbed the mountain already and using those in your daily life today, because those will definitely help. Just a little bit about me. I know the videos went out about my background and how we're going to start this out with a little intro to start your training using your breathing. So I'm a sports chiro by trade, and basically for the last 2 decades I've been really diving into what is an optimal human and how do we become one. I was never happy as a chiro just looking at a joint or making a knee better, but I look at people's overall human performance and how can we expand their capacities. And diving into all the research and different techniques, I've developed a lifestyle medicine that I call Expand Your Human. And breathing is one of the biggest principles within this, something that I've done with patients, athletes, even before this time. So what we want to do is, I've been on the mountain twice now, Vermont and Utah last year. And I come a day before, I give people some tools that they can use the next day to take to the mountain, and we just got overwhelming response of just how even 45 minutes of describing these tools helped them on the mountain. So we wanted to give you guys these early so you can train them more in your training protocols to be able to take there. And that way you'll have access to even a greater capacity. Hi, Matt. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some background on why breathing is so important, why I talk about it. I learned firsthand on the mountain in Vermont of how important breathing is. When I went, I was asked to come speak, I think maybe 3 weeks before, so I'd had no time to train. I had a travel schedule up until then, and I had a blood condition that essentially left me with about 60% of my oxygen carrying capacity that I had. So no training and way less oxygen than the normal person should have. And with that, just on will and breathing alone, I was able to get up to 20,310 feet just on those 2 things. So I know firsthand how important breathing is and how much of an impact it can have just by training that. And along, again, with the other athletes that I've worked with and groups that I've worked with in 29029 of how they have been impacted by it. So it's one of our vital elements. It's what keeps us alive. The more we train it, the more we can become efficient at energy. Energy is our greatest resource, especially for this event. And you need a lot of energy over a long period of time. So the more we train our breathing, we can train our bodies to be good at exchanging CO2, which we're blowing off, and oxygen, what we're breathing in. We need oxygen in order to make energy. It's our most efficient way to make energy. So we want to train our breathing so we can regulate our energy. It also steers our state. It's one of the only things that we can directly influence our nervous system and shift us from calm to a little more action state. So shifting between those states has to do with us using our breathing and changing our heart rate. If we can steer our heart rates, we can conserve energy, which is one thing a lot of people use this for on the mountain. The other amazing tool that breathing gives us is a way to get out of our heads. And you'll see now, especially more than ever, you can't fight your mind with your mind. So having a tool to allow us to drop into our bodies, and a tool that can steer us, can steer our bodies into a response rather than a reaction, is super powerful. On the mountain, that's what I heard. I also spoke at BYLR camp, and there was a 4-hour obstacle course that some people never had even walked for an hour in their lives. And once you start getting into doing hard things in hard situations, when you're up on the mountain and you start having narratives in your mind like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, and putting, what about lap 10, 11, 12, just coming back to your breathing. If I just say right now, just connect with your breath. It's the most immediate way to get you out of your head. And that's especially useful in these times, which I'll talk about a little bit more. So regulating our energy, getting oxygen to our tissues, that's what increases our performance. And we can do that simply by training our better patterns even throughout our day. Also, again, steering our state, we can control our heart rate, we can get ourselves a little pumped up, or recover faster and calm ourselves down. So being able to steer our heart rates also can help us conserve energy, also conserve stress. So the first part that we want to bring in to your training is simply awareness of your breath. Now more than ever, we're actually given this gift of more awareness. It's a tragic time, but I know there are positives in this that I've been seeing myself of, having more intention, being more efficient, more creative and innovative. And awareness is huge. So bringing your awareness to your breath throughout your day, especially now. Checking in with it. Just asking yourselves, where does the breath start? Just see what your natural pattern is. Don't change anything. You want to just start seeing what your natural patterns are and then improving those natural patterns. So at first, you're going to have to bring it into your conscious awareness. So where does the breath start? If you just put your left hand on your chest and your right hand on your belly, this is a good way to check in as well. Where is the breath starting? Under which hand? Am I inhaling through my nose or my mouth? We'll talk about why that's important. How long are your inhales and exhales? So just checking in and having awareness throughout your day. Check in when you are stressed, even maybe when you're watching the news, or if you're reacting to the kids. Just check in. Allow some stillness within this time. Then during your training, if you're able to get out and walk, which most of us are, I'm in California, we're supposed to, of course, shelter in place, but we can still go outside, which I highly encourage to get outside. Now they've kind of closed down beaches and trails because there's too many people out there. But if you can get outside at all, walking. I think walking is the most underrated movement there is. I know it's in your training. It's very important during your training because honestly, a lot of those 36 hours are just being on your feet for that long. So being on your feet more throughout your day is even going to help your training. So if you go for walks, try to keep your inhale and your exhale through your nose only. Actually a good practice right now with what is going around. And why is the nose important for us to breathe through? Well, if you think about it, it was given to us to breathe. Our mouth was given us more so to eat, to talk, and to breathe in a more sympathetic, a more action state. Like when you get to that part of your workout and your body needs to blow off more carbon dioxide, that's more of an action state. But we don't want to be in that state throughout our day. So it's more calming. It filters particles of bacteria, those little hairs, cilia. It also warms and conditions the air. So when you breathe in, it actually spins around these little things inside of our nasal cavity, and it warms and conditions the air, which is nice for our lungs to receive. Also, if you breathe in through your mouth, you don't have any resistance to the breathing. But if you breathe in through your nose, it has to go in this little hole, it spins around those things, and it helps you inflate your entire lung, which is going to be better for that oxygen CO2 exchange if you inflate your entire lung rather than just moving air back and forth. So you can inflate your entire lung. With that same pressure breathing in through the nose, it helps you use your breathing muscle, your diaphragm, a lot better. Makes you have to drop down and get down deep with that breath. And the last thing is you're releasing this gas in your sinuses around the nose. It's called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a very powerful vasodilator. Means it opens up your airways, your blood vessels, so you get much more oxygen exchange and oxygen exchange into the tissues. So breathing in through the nose, you get nitric oxide that just joins in and goes down and opens everything up for a greater exchange. So that's why we want to use our nose, right? The nose. And if you think about it, it's part of our respiratory system. Our mouth is part of our digestive system. So awareness throughout the day. If you find yourself breathing in through your mouth, change it to your nose. Walking, try to maintain breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, which is the most calming. When you're doing any more strenuous work, like your hills, running, hiking even, start with nose only. And then when you need to, you can shift. Think about it in gears. Like first gear is going to be nose. You can even start nose if you want. Then you can go nose mouth and then into mouth. At first, it's going to be hard. Just like anything else, when we change it back to kind of a good foundation, it's going to be harder and we're going to have to be more conscious of it. But if you do it, it's going to train your body to be able to stay in an aerobic position longer, which again is going to get more oxygen to your tissues to be able to do work. and over 36 hours. That's important. So while you're doing any strenuous work, again, use those gears, starting with the nose, and then when you need to, shift out of it. One thing that I find that helps, because you will get a little what's called air hunger once you first start doing this. You feel like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. But remember, you're actually getting more oxygen to your tissues if you can stay in the nose. So a lot of it's just going to be what's in your mind at first. So breathing in through the nose, if you put your tongue up on the top in between your teeth, that will help in kind of loosening the lips when you start to get a little stressed out. And then just shift. When you need to, shift right into that mouth. And then if you can, especially say you're hiking, you go up a peak and you need to use your mouth, then try to shift back. And later in the training, I'll give you guys tools on how you can recover much faster and bring your heart rate down. But for now, just shift in and out and start playing around with it really at first and just getting used to it. So strenuous walking and just around the day, throughout your day, checking in with the breath. So that's what we're going to use moving forward, just as intros, awareness and nasal breathing. In the next couple of weeks, you guys will see a form that will allow you to progress your breath training from breathing warm-ups to using different protocols during your training, and then recovery to help you recover much faster afterwards. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, tools. Okay. During this time, I have been using these tools myself. One motto that I always say, especially when I'm there speaking at 29029, is don't just suffer, adapt. So during this time, during your training, while you're on the mountain, it's not just about getting through every single thing, but how can I shift my breathing? How can I shift my mindset to adapt? That's what we want to do. We want to use these stressors to actually make us better, not just suffer through. And I've been thinking about it during this time, and chronic stress is essentially suffering, right? Acute stress plus recovery is adaptation. Acute stress is healthy. So allow yourselves now to get stressed out, to wonder about uncertainty, to, when the kids are driving you crazy, that's okay. You can get a little bit of stress. Adrenaline is healthy. Adrenaline is good for our immune system. Now, what we need to do from that is to be able to relax ourselves. So we want the ups and the downs. We don't want to just stay up all the time. So when you go up and you get stressed out, I always say trust your exhale. So it's going to be a short inhale and then trust your exhale and lengthen out your exhales. There's only a few things that allow us direct access to our nervous system. Once stress gets going, there's no way to stop it. They say adrenaline basically gets released in less than a second. But we have access points that will allow us to enter and slow that down, slow the train down. So breathing is one of those. Long exhales, trust your exhale. The second one is vision. So if you want to follow a great scientist, and he's keeping up to date with all the COVID stuff right now, Dr. Andrew Huberman. Vision, he studies vision. Vision is one way, an access point into our nervous system. So using a panoramic vision, so if you just keep your head still, relax your eyes so you can just have a soft gaze, and bring in as much of the room as you can. It's nice to do this outside as well. Almost relax your eyes enough to where you could almost feel yourself and like see yourself in this snow globe. Like you can see yourself standing in this sphere. That is another way to relax yourself. So again, if you go up, get yourself down using some panoramic vision. And the third thing is movement. Movement. Stress mobilizes resources. It's very handy. It's a survival mechanism. So it starts beating our heart a little bit faster, making us breathe faster so we can get blood flow to our limbs. So what's really good to use in that time is to put your body in motion so you can use those mobilized resources that your body just did for you. So try to use these 3 tools and again, allow yourself to be stressed for a moment. That's okay. Acute stress plus recovery, adaptation. So you're actually making yourself better. Anybody have any questions? Matt? Yes, so thankful for this information. Thank you, Kristen. So if you guys have any specific questions, you could write them in this video in the comments section. And I will get back to you on those answers, especially as you're playing around with this stuff. Just feel free to shoot me a comment, shoot me a message. And again, in a few weeks, you'll see something that will allow you to build on this training. All right, I don't see any questions coming in. Oh, what's the recovery rest? You mean the breathing tools? Christine? Those will come next. What I want you to focus on now is awareness and nasal breathing. Nasal breathing is a recovery and rest tool. All right. Great stuff. Excited to see it used on the mountain. Yes. Perfect timing. Yes, unfortunately, I'm doing this right now. I was doing this when we couldn't get connected on the live video. Yes, Christine, all right. When stressed, how long do we breathe for shorter inhale? According to research, it's about 2.5 times, but 2 times is usually good. So if you inhale 3, exhale 6. You just want to think about lengthening it out. It doesn't have to be in a big, people think deep breaths is like this. That's not a deep, that's actually a very stressful breath. Deep means it comes way down from between the hips. So you want to breathe deep, not up here. So it's a very deep breath, and then all right. Can you repeat that? Yes, so recovery breathing, you'll get some more tools on how to put it into your training, and also right after your training. You'll see those come down the line. Right now, just using the short inhale, long exhale. All right, any other questions? I think those are all the questions. Community. Community is something also that we need at this time in what 29029 provides. So please lean on your community. All right. Well, if you guys have any other questions, just comment on here and I'll get back to them, especially once you start playing around with this. Just start playing around with it. See what happens, see what changes, and let me know updates as well, even not questions, but just how this is working for you. All right, so use these tools, adapt during this time. I keep repeating this question to myself is how do I want to emerge? This is going to be over. How do I want to emerge? Just like on the mountain, right? How do I want to emerge on the mountain? And I'll talk to you guys soon.